our next presenter who's going to talk about the future of emerging tech and security. We have Dr. Hoda Alkhzaimi, director for center director for the Center of Cybersecurity at the New York University. So we're really excited to have her come and talk to us about security and the future of security. So off to you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning to whoever is connected from different parts of the world. Today, we're going to discuss the future of emerging tech, which is, a very hot topic at the moment. My name is Hoda Alkhzaimi. I'm welcoming all of you across board to this conversation. So when we're talking about the future of technology today, we are carrying different pillars of consideration than what it's used to be in the past. We keep on trying to understand what it would take for us to recognize that it would lead to creation of different levels of economic growth and different economies that did not exist in the past. It's not anymore the typical idea and the typical images of creating a specific industry, but pushing forward across different creative and scientific and technological industries across board. And maybe the for the stage center player in this conversation is what we call the digital growth that is happening across board today. There's a huge conversation that is happening for what is exactly the impact of digital economies across boards on the GDPs of countries and states across board. And we know that there is an anticipation of growth to be more than 30% contribution to different economies and to lead the economy like China and the United States at the moment. So when I ask you what is exactly the motivator behind this and how is this connected to emerging technology today, and would it actually bridge between the different evolution gaps that we are seeing today when we are talking about the fourth or fifth or sixth industrial revolution that we're going for at the moment? Yes, it's all connected to how much data that we are actually introducing on a daily basis, and how many digital devices are we carrying across board. And if I asked you what is the size of the data that it's producing daily by an individual or collectively, then we could say that it's 2.5 quintillion bytes of data that are created each day at our current base. And if you thought of the amount of opportunity that exists around monetizing the concepts of data that exist around this number, it is actually huge. So at this level, if you want to conceptualize that, it would be around 500 million tweets or 65 billion messages on WhatsApp. And this leads us to trying to understand what kind of technologies can we create to monetize this? Are we doing our due diligence for that? And this is what happens around the world today when you see the rise of the fintech and the rise of different level of security and privacy initiatives or integrity blockchain-based initiatives that are meant to centralize the ownership of assets within the hands of the user and not in a centralized approach within the hands of governments or institutions. And this is what we call decentralize everything in terms of technology. So how can we utilize all of this amount of data that are centered in the hands of 4.4 billion digital users at the moment, which is less than half of the universe or almost half of the universe around us. And looking actually beyond the fourth industrial revolution, AI and robotics consideration, blockchain consideration, IoT consideration that we see around us, to more of the impact of using this technology on building disruptions and introducing productivity and agility cross-board, and creating as well new levels of employability and economic growth. So the mirror ball or the, I would say, the strategic mirror ball that would lead us to understand what is exactly the future will look like when it comes to emerging technology is a hard conversation to talk, because it does not just take an influence of one pillar, but it takes the influence of multiple communities, multiple societies, and multiple industries that come together to form this new landscape of technology that we're seeing today. So we're talking about today the fact that we need to consider not just cloud computing potentials or quantum computing potential or AI, robotics potentials, analytics across business, Bitcoins and NFTs and metaverses, but the ability to monetize that core element that will be center stage, vital for all of these platforms to work, which is the data, and how can we monetize and trade data and marketplaces that would exist today for multiple users. I'm sure most of you are aware of play to earn spaces for gaming industry and a lot of other marketplaces that exist to trade data and allow users and allow normal novice, I would say, technology novice users to reap rewards at higher stakes. And this is why we're talking about sitting data factories and whatnot. So again, if we're considering what is the future exactly for emerging technology, it goes beyond the current narrative of building protocols and algorithms and cryptographic primitives that would work to secure and protect the agility and the reliability of the business, to more of building assets, economic assets that could be placed at the fingertips of different users. So when we are talking about the anticipation in investment in emerging technology and digital frontiers, the anticipation was around $350 billion on 2018 to an amazing accelerated rise of 3.2 trillion of 2025, according to the recent reporting of World Economic Forum. And the vital frontier stage technologies that would take center stage are actually AI, IoT, big data, blockchain, 3D printing, robotics, drones, gene editing, and multitudes of health or global health impacted industries, fourth industrial revolution, nanotechnology, solar PV, among many others. And when you see across the platform, these technologies are actually connected together, because you do have infrastructure technology that would contribute to acceleration of growth to other technologies. We're talking, for example, about next generation computing, which is quantum computing and neuromorphic chips and IoT platforms, in addition to future of low-level programming that would enable any users around the world to be part of the crowd programming and crowdsourcing and crowd building of the universe, of the new approaches of building it. In addition to introducing the next tier of computing that we call edge computing, where we are actually trying to empower individuals to have a computational possibilities beyond what exists at the moment, to improve their level of contribution to building industry-specific trends that are going to go beyond, for example, the bio-revolution or next-generation materials, or the future of clean technology or sustainable industry. All of this is coming on board with anticipated different level of growth that goes from 10x to over 40x, and this is a very, very normal rate when it comes to technology-based industries. The bio-revolution is anticipated to go beyond 45x in terms of revenue, and the next generation computing for over $1 trillion in this. This is, of course, a McKinsey analysis report. We are seeing more reports today are coming to also solidify our understanding of this explosion of IoT, fourth industrial revolution push, when it comes to utilizing data to understand the impact of a future disruption. And this future, this push towards the future when it comes to emerging technology also change the way we are perceiving current jobs around us, the current jobs that we are trying to create, and we'll take closer look as we go through this presentation into the metaverse, for example, community or the metaverse kind of industry sector, which is a growing sector at the moment. If you're trying to Google it, it's over 1.5 billion results at the moment of what's the metaverse, how did it happen, where is it the Web3, is it AR, VR, or is it a contribution of all of these platforms? Again, as we are seeing in any other emerging technology trends, there is this kind of a huge tendency of merging and converging when it comes to global impact of emerging technologies. So we're seeing a huge level of initiatives, a huge level of interest, and reskilling the needs of our core workforces, where I would say they're focused on purpose, not on working hours or productivity more than anything else. The purpose that is felt that is being here is more about empowering them financially to provide on a higher level than what we are seeing at the moment. The net worth of wealth that is going to be centered using this emerging technology on individual hands is going to rise at accelerated pace. So if we took the metaverse, for example, as a community or as a pillar, we see that this world push at the moment towards the metaverse investment has initiated a rise to different communities, to the creator economy, to performers economy, to builders economy, to participants, bridges, and different levels of economies across board. And it's more than what we have said. It's more than immersive reality or virtual reality. And it's more, it's actually an infrastructure that aims to tokenize assets that are, of course, based on available data that would be traded within these assets, and creating much a higher level of impact that what we are going to see from this twinning environments, where we're creating a virtual environment representing our physical environment, but the assets within the virtual environment would have a higher impact, a higher net worth value, a higher return of not only investment but value than the physical environment. So it's a new monetization framework, a new monetization model of assets that goes beyond the current dimension that we are discussing today, as the contribution of it is not only limited to central authorities, but also to the individuals that are being placed on the table. And if I asked every one of you, if you are among the nerds of the science fiction readers in the room, when was this actually first created? Because we want to give acknowledgement to everybody who was part of the journey of initiating the metaverse. We know that it goes beyond the Neil Stephenson dystopian cyberpunk literature that was described in Snow Crash. And I don't know how many of you read Snow Crash. It's a very interesting conversation where you're talking about how can we create a parallel reality to what we are seeing at the moment. So it's a conversation that started early on in the 80s, and we are seeing global companies and global economy leaders having a keen interest in it, and a keen interest to make sure that it grows at a very accelerated rate. But we have to be very careful here, because the metaverse community, by the nature of the constitution, is a community of the users, and is a community of the endpoints that contributes the data to this metaverse community. And there is a huge current movement today, a global polarized movement towards politicizing it and making sure that you build a framework where you control the assets that are being built, which we will see more to the rise in here. We're not talking just about real estate lands that are being sold on a virtual platforms, or NFTs, non-fungible tokens, that we're seeing on the rise. but more into a collective of the whole asset that could grow out of here beyond the collection or the collectible that we've seen in the past. So when we were talking about NFT, for example, it's a market that has a growth margin of over $41 billion of investment. And it has this great centralization of assets in the hands of almost 360,000 owners across the globe. And 360,000 owners, they control, 9% of them only controls 80% of the market value of the NFTs by controlling the assets build and the asset creation. And this is not systematic or centric. It's not systematic. It's not something that was built by design. It's just got a randomized statistical analysis of rising because it happened an acceleration model in the hands of the user rather than in the hands of a central authority that would govern who would own what and who would be the asset creator or owner within the system. So you could tell here, if we looked at it, early 2020 is the start of this conversation where we saw to currently today, where we saw there is a huge rise to NFT secondary market and primary market. And you could see how this was accelerated by heavy reliance on underlying infrastructure technologies. And we've talked before about infrastructure technology. Blockchain could be considered an infrastructure technology because it stemmed from other cybersecurity initiatives, which are more concerned about integrity, like hash functions and hashing algorithms and public key cryptography and symmetric key cryptography that give the rise to building these blockchain platforms and cryptocurrencies platforms. And then this blockchain platform eventually was used mostly at the moment to create these NFTs platform. And you could see at the moment that there is a contribution of ecosystem build because you see there is a huge push of open source communities to exist, to build their own NFT marketplaces. So the control is not centric, the control is decentralized among the hands of the user. The wealth is decentralized among the hands of the user. So, one of these marketplaces in the NFT zone, we have OpenSea, which is one of the largest peer-to-peer marketplaces that would have a trading volume of around $6.5 billion. And it would as well, helped in creating other marketplaces and other competitors like Axie Infinity for 2.1 market valuation or maybe more than this, trading points or more than this. So we're talking as well about when you look at the NFT, the landscape is absolutely unique because it's not just the assets themselves are not centralized within the hands of the technology developers, but more within the user platform. Again, and this is the behavior that we are observing at the moment. So you see that the most of the use cases we see around are around gaming industry, metaverses industry, art, utility, and collectibles. There's a huge push right now for it to go through the utility, to go through the full build and growth of utility sector, which will enable it to be used for healthcare sector, for energy sector, and for most of the critical infrastructures of government markets. And we'll see a rise of it over the years. So if we want to anticipate what is the cycle of growth for this emerging technology, and this goes not only for NFTs or the metaverses, but any of the other accelerated cycle, there is this current model that we are seeing when we're talking about the hype cycle. So the initial phase will be always an R&D hype, where companies and startups and ecosystem players will all cultivate effort to make sure that you reach a peak activity for the monetizing or for the utilization of the asset that you have created, being NFT or a metaverse or cloud computing or a quantum computing initiative or PCI kind of initiative. whatever it is. But after a while, it would reach a certain decline and a plateau. What helps currently the technology market stays at peak is the contribution of the side technological elements or borderline technology sectors into one industry. Because when you're talking about, for example, the metaverse, it's not just the PACI or AR or VR or mobile or IoT or PC or computing. It's all of this with much more subfields contributing to it. And this contribution of the subfields will give a longevity to the industry that goes beyond the anticipated timeline that we see around us at the moment, and will give it an acceleration model of building different product lines and different initiatives and different impact cycles of it. That goes, for example, for right now, for the metaverse, and we're not just about creating virtual reality or augmented reality or legacy gateways for the metaverse. But if you apply the model of how it would impact other subsector or peripheral subsectors, then it would also contribute to the rise of optic devices, digital growth, and also the rise in displays and the rise in sensing and haptics innovations and other related fields like batteries, for example. Maybe we'll have better sustainable long-term batteries than what Tesla is providing at the moment in self-driving cars. But we'll see about this more and more in the future. So when we talk about the metaverse, for example, you have to realize that the contribution cycle of contributing to the industry, it comes from 7 different layers, which touches on different ecosystems. So experience could be for the gaming and the social sports and theater. Discovery could be for ad networks, social media and curation, rating, different stores and retails. For the creator economy, you have the design tools, the asset market. For the spatial computing, 3D engineering and decentralization, decentralization and human interface and infrastructure. We build more of these infrastructure elements we talked about when we talked about the IoT, the computing devices, the 5G kind of communication platform, the Wi-Fi and other aspects. So again, it's a cycle that contributes to building ecosystem. And if you look today at it, we just heard of it like maybe 1 year ago in a formal stance. We have been in this conversation for the past, I don't know if you can, for past 25 plus years. However, when you look at it, it's much more structured contribution to building this ecosystem that contributes to different trajectory of assets, I would say, across board, across different industries. So you see the virtual creations of different companies, the asset market contribution, the fintech contribution in the financial markets, and every other aspects across board. So when you look at the potential total addressable market of it, there is like conflicting news about this, which is the norm for emerging technology, because you keep on collecting dynamic data of growth that comes from different subsectors and different markets. So you will find it very difficult to say this is a true contribution only of NFTs or only of metaverses or only of cryptocurrencies. And so there is a lot of side contribution that comes, because we're talking about, for example, over 1 trillion possible contribution that comes from the market. But when you look at the deep analysis of it, some of it goes to hardware contribution of other mobile devices, of IoT, of cryptocurrencies that already exist in the market. Some are saying that the NFT market would be much larger than the cryptocurrency market at the moment, and larger than, for example, other virtual assets market. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see what exactly the metric of analysis would be and what would govern it. And say the current size is as well being, say, Yahoo Finance is reporting a current size of 194.4 billion for the metaverse emerging market, and we'll see maybe it would be a higher value than this, as we've seen the earlier anticipation going to 1 trillion, with all the side industries being considered into this aspect. So again, when you look at the industry, don't look at it with a single color, look at it with all of the colors of the rainbow that exist under all of these console games and browser games, and also the mobile and the other industries that are touching base here. So again, it's a huge economy that we're creating after every pillar that we're building when we are talking about emerging technology. So it's not just the metaverse economy, but also the other emerging technology economies that we are building. But the main trait that we are realizing here is that most of this emerging tech is not just empowered by short-term revenues, but by long-term value that it can bring to humanity. Most of the people are trying, or the technology builders are trying to really center their technology adaptation or adoption across the business to, really build a sustainable impact for humanity that goes more than just building, for example, global healthcare or zero hunger initiatives or no poverty initiatives and climate action initiatives, to building holistic communities of purpose through using this technology. Again, the final slide that I would like to share with you here is that this community and this organization is heavily motivated by diversity of stakeholders and players. So it's not anymore private education or industry or government, it's all of them with a new market, the market of individuals that's coming into play. Open R&Ds because individuals want to build their own impact cycle, their own emerging technology products, it's not the company, organization, or corporate mentality anymore, but it's actually the users' mentality that are trying to build this environment or co-build it together. So the policies and standards and regulation will be an interesting piece to tackle, because it's not going to be anymore a centric policy, a global policy that governs all harmonized laws, for example, adopting the technology or using the technology, but how can we make sure that it would curate to all of the users within the platform needs? Everything on the platform needs to be measurable. And when I'm saying the platform, I mean the emerging technology investment platform, where it will be based on open data and all of these open data initiatives. So again, diversity, the role of governance across board, because you're trying to employ this kind of the well-being economy of the end user and not of the centric authority here, and impact all of the other sectors that are existing around the world. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope that you would have a very fruitful and productive sessions across board at the conference. Here are my contacts. If you need to reach out, please don't hesitate to reach out. Take a capture screen of that, and I will be here for your Q&A session. Let me know if you need anything. Thank you so much. Thank you.